Did you know that scientists believe humans use far more than 10% of their brain, but not all at the same time? That's right. The famous idea that we use only a tiny portion of our brain is actually a myth. In reality, almost every part of your brain has a function. But here's the crazy thought. What if the myth was actually true? What if humans really used only 10% of their brain, and suddenly, somehow, we unlocked the other 90%? What would happen to us? What would happen to the world? And would it even be a good thing? Let's imagine it step by step. First of all, unlocking 90% of our brain wouldn't just make us smarter, it would completely change how we experience reality. Think about memory. Right now, your brain forgets things on purpose. It filters out useless details, the color of a stranger's jacket, the exact texture of a wall, what you ate on April 12, 3 years ago. But with full access to your brain, you'd remember everything. Every smell. Every sound. Every embarrassing moment you tried to forget forever. Your brain would basically become a cursed USB drive that refuses to delete anything. And now imagine arguments. You'd never lose one again. Someone tries to tell you something. You instantly remember every detail ever mentioned. Actually, you said the opposite on November 8th at 7:43 p.m. No relationship would survive that power. But let's go deeper. Using 100% of your brain at once could mean processing information in parallel, like having dozens of tabs open but none of them slowing down. You could learn new languages in days. Solve complex problems like they were simple puzzles. And most importantly, you'd start seeing patterns everywhere. Not just the obvious stuff, but the tiny connections that normal humans can't even perceive. Artists would paint like Michelangelo but with the precision of a machine. Musicians would hear hidden harmonies inside ordinary sounds. Writers would weave stories so complex they'd feel like living worlds. Human creativity would explode. But here's the twist. We might become too smart for our own good. If your brain suddenly operates at full capacity, normal life might feel painfully slow. Conversations might seem predictable. Movies boring. Work meaningless. You'd want more, constantly. More information, more stimulation, more challenge. Your brain would become a Formula One engine trying to drive in a school zone. And socially, oh boy. Imagine everyone unlocking this ability at the same time. The world would change overnight. Schools would become totally different. Kids learning physics at age 7, programming at age 5, and philosophy before they lose their baby teeth. Everyone would be a genius. Which sounds great, until you realize something important. If everyone becomes extraordinary, then extraordinary becomes normal. Human competition would skyrocket. Jobs that require years of training would take days to master. Knowledge would no longer be valuable. Creativity and innovation would become the only true currency. But let's add another layer. If we truly unlocked full brain power, we might also access abilities we never use consciously, like heightened pattern recognition, intuition, maybe even abilities that seem almost supernatural to us now. Some scientists believe the brain is capable of generating extremely detailed internal simulations. If fully unlocked, humans might be able to visualize complex systems like never before, predicting outcomes, solving massive problems, or even simulating alternate versions of events in their minds. Imagine being able to predict someone's reaction before they react. Or mentally test 300 solutions in a second and pick the perfect one. Decision-making would change forever. Governments, business, science, everything would accelerate. But increased intelligence doesn't always mean increased emotional control. If the logical part of the brain becomes supercharged while emotions stay the same, humans might become dangerously rational, almost cold. No more excuses, no more confusion, just pure logic. And pure logic is not always kind. Now imagine the physical effects. Your brain already consumes a massive amount of energy, around 20% of everything you eat. If you suddenly start using more of your brain at once, you'd need insane amounts of calories. People might eat 3 times more just to stay alive. Fast food chains would become the most important companies in the world. Your brain becomes powerful, but your wallet becomes empty. But the scariest part is this. If humans could suddenly think faster, better, and deeper, would we even want to stay human? Or would we start modifying ourselves further, adding technology, upgrading memory, enhancing senses? Unlocking the brain could be just the beginning. And here comes the biggest question of all. If everyone becomes super intelligent, who makes the decisions? Who leads? Who teaches? Who follows? Would society collapse because no one wants to listen to anyone else? And then there's one more thought. Maybe the reason we don't use our full brain at once is because evolution designed it that way for balance. Maybe too much intelligence leads to instability, emotional overload, sensory overload, or even the inability to stay grounded in reality. Maybe the 10% myth exists because using 100% would simply overwhelm us. So the real question is, if you could boost your brain to its maximum potential, would you actually want to? Or is there such a thing as being too smart for your own good?